Hey, welcome to the beginning of this Eric Reviews miniseries. Wait, what is this? What is this, some sort of visual gag? Why is this here? Get this off the screen, get it off! No, we're not doing that. From now until whenever we're able to get through these, we're going to be exclusively looking at the Kirby series, beginning with Kirby's Dream Land on the Nintendo Game Boy. So right off the bat, this game is very, very short. I managed to finish it in half an hour when I was getting this footage. To illustrate this, I'm going to be putting the entire game, sped up, right here in the corner. Perfect. Kirby's Dream Land is a very pleasant game. It's not very hard at all, but what it lacks in challenge, it more than makes up for in charm. The best example for this is Kirby himself. I mean, just look at this thing, he's adorable! He's got cute animations, a cuddly design, and he destroys his opponents by swallowing them whole. This is done using an ability that I'll be referring to as the Zuck. He can zuck his enemies in and choose to either crush them into a fine paste within his body or spit them back out for a double homicide. The enemies who will be zucked are quite varied. You've got Waddle Dee, Cappy, Kukler, Mr. P. Umpkin, Boomer, Shotzo, Flotzo, Grizzy, and many more. Of course, seeing as the game is just kind of easy, none of these guys should be a real problem. There are 5 stages for Kirby to get through, the last of which is just a boss rush before the final boss. All of these bosses have appeared in many games since, especially Wispy Wood, who just never seems to go away. I'm not really sure why. I mean, it's a little bit sadistic, right? Like, he's so sad. He's just so sad. I think the game really shines in its presentation. It's a classic, cartoonish style that perfectly complements the capabilities of the system. Okay, and well, this is about the time when I stop talking about Kirby's Dream Land. Not because I don't want to, but because there's just really not much to say. Every other Kirby game after this has a lot more content to it, more levels, more mechanics, more modes. But for a first game, I think Kirby's Dream Land does a very good job for establishing the foundation that the series would be built on. I give the game a solid 1 star out of a star and a third. Welcome to the second episode of this Eric Reviews miniseries. Okay, come on, no. Wasn't funny the first time, just stop. Took the words right out of my mouth, Kirby. So, let's take a look at Kirby's Adventure, the second main series Kirby game. It's basically just Dreamland, but everything is bigger, everything is longer, everything is expanded, and everything is better. Instead of 5 levels, there are 7 worlds with 41 levels spread across them all. Kirby's basically the same. Except he isn't! Yeah, that's right. You might have thought I just forgot about Kirby's copy ability for Dreamland. That was actually first introduced in this game. You eat a thing, and rather than trapping its soul deep inside whatever horrible void Kirby's mouth leads to, Kirby instead absorbs that soul. It's a bit like Freddy Krueger's creepy soul chest, but Kirby's pink, so it's fine. The copy ability changes the entire game. It deepens the experience exponentially. Insert other big reviewer type words here. Basically, Kirby being able to just absorb any ability he wants opens up a lot of possibilities. There are secrets, puzzles, weaknesses, one-time screen clearing weapons, and it just generally keeps the game from feeling repetitive. I think it's probably one of the biggest additions from a first game in a series to a second game in a series. It's that big for Kirby. Yeah, like what did Mario get in the second game? Picking things up? Wow. Wow! Good job. But of course, that's not all this game has to offer. Wispy Woods is back and now he's sad in color! Yeah! Most of the other bosses come from Dreamland as well, though there are a couple of new ones sprinkled in for flavor. In fact, this is the game that introduced Meta Knight, who you probably remember from Smash Bros, and literally anything else involving Kirby since this game. He reminds me of Dark Link in a lot of ways, especially here, where he challenges Kirby to a duel! And there we go, that's the best joke of the series. It's all downhill from here. But of course, that's still not all. This game has 2 more major additions. One is minigames, such as the Crane game, which is about as fair as real Crane games, and Egg game. The other major addition is a bit more interesting. See, the Kirby series can get rather creepy at times. Rather than ending with DDD like the original, Adventure has a twist. It turns out King DDD was trying to stop a greater villain, a horrible creature known as Nightmare, with the goal of taking over the entirety of Dreamland. Now, he might not seem that creepy, but when everything else in the game looks like this, Nightmare's a little bit out of place, right? Trust me, this is the tamest evil creature of darkness and fear in the entire series, just you wait. When Nightmare is defeated, he blows up part of the moon. I guess that's just fine, I guess. What about the oceans? Are the oceans gonna be all messed up? Is Grape Garden gonna have issues now? Wait, no, it's not Grape Garden. What's the one with beaches? I don't remember. So, in the end, I give Kirby's Adventure a rating of this Kirby animation out of the same Kirby animation, but in color. Wow, would you look at the time? Wait, let's see, the big hand is the hour hand, so it's like... Okay, forget this. It's time for the Eric Reviews Kirby miniseries! This time we're looking at Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo, but not all of Kirby Superstar, just 1/9 of it. But trust me, it's the best 9th of the game. Great Cave Offensive, more like greatly offensive to my senses oversized maze, am I right? Got it! You know, taking a look at the box, it promises 8 games in one, but there's actually 9 overall. How are they calculating these? Maybe these two count for half? I don't know. The part we're looking at is Milky Way Wishes, and wow, would you look at that difficulty rating. I mean, it's probably the hardest game on the cartridge. In difficulty, I mean. Certainly not the hardest to get through, am I right? Oh, I'm on a roll today! So Milky Way Wishes opens up with a cutscene. At least it should. I can't really get it working on my copy. One day, in the year question mark, the sun and moon fought day and night. There's so many things wrong with this statement, the least of which being the fact that Kirby beat these guys in the last game. Then this dude bounces all in and he's all like, this guy's name is Marks, and he's here to redistribute Dreamland's resources among the population. Nah, just kidding, he's here to tell Kirby to go fix this mess. How? Oh, by asking the comet NOVA for help! But because this is a video game, Kirby's gonna need to collect a bunch of things from the Fountain of Dreams on every planet in the galaxy. And off you go. I'm sure this weird little character who's only just now making an appearance in the series, for the first time, just won't come up again at all. Kirby's quest is literally out of this world, taking him to a variety of planets with suspiciously similar species inhabiting them. They've all got some sort of gimmick, but they still manage to feel like just another fun level in a Kirby game. Except for the fire one. The fire one feels like a rusty nail to the frontal lobe. The game plays like a Kirby game, nothing really to say. This mode has a bit of a gimmick where you can't copy abilities normally, instead you find them sitting in creepy alleyways, but they're permanent. It changes the dynamic in a way that I really enjoy. Kirby can also pull a Darth Plagueis and
use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life.
I generally avoid this because it makes the game a bit too easy for my taste. I ended up using the bomb and the hammer the majority of the time, just found them to be the most useful. And I mean, you can go through this entire game with plasma, but why? Of course, because of the nature of Superstar, most of the bosses in Milky Way are reused from other modes. I mean, there's the Torture Whale who sucks and I hate him, there's the weird hand guy from the mode that sucks and I hate it, and even Wispy Woods makes a return. But you know what I always say, double the woods, double the fun. Yeah, double sadness. So yeah, you get through all the levels and make it to NOVA! Kirby prepares to make his wish to save the galaxy. But nope! Marks is a secret bad guy. What a twist! I mean, I'm shocked, really. I just couldn't see it coming. He seemed like such a nice guy, you know? Riding around on his ball, yeah. He turns into this weird, gross vampire monster version of himself, which does things like this. Terrifying. Kirby beats him, and then NOVA explodes! I'm sure that's just not an issue. I guess the sun and moon stop fighting too. Kirby goes to sleep, and that's the end. I give Milky Way Wishes a rating of 2 halves of a wannabe Elder God out of a real Elder God. Welcome to the finale of the Kirby miniseries. We're going to be skipping just about every single game since Superstar and blast all the way to the present day with Kirby Star Allies. This game shows off just how much Kirby has evolved since the Super Nintendo, as well as how much he hasn't. For example, the gameplay. It's still a side-scrolling, easy platformer with a ton of side modes. Kirby controls mostly the same, albeit with a lot more polish to make this the best-feeling Kirby game in history. Of course, that doesn't really matter too much when the game is this easy. Oh, you died here? Don't even worry about it, man. You've got nearly 200 lives and there are 2 more for you within the next 10 seconds anyway. This time around, Kirby brought back a couple of fan-favorite features that weren't in the last few games. Combining copy abilities is a fun one, previously seen in Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. I'll give you one guess as to which console that game was for. Then there's the allies, the ones in the title, and this time Kirby can have up to 3 friends at the same time. A little excessive? Yes. Breaks the entire game? Also yes. This time, friendship is accomplished through mind control, just like in real life. There's quite a lot of interaction between them and the world this time around, mostly in the form of literally playing the game for you. Also, you get to turn into a magic train. This game kind of serves as a Kirby Ultimate, combining all sorts of mechanics and characters and areas all in the same game. Everyone is here! Even these horrible, terrible traitors and monsters. It reminds me of the Mario spin-offs, where Bowser can just take a break from being evil and play some tennis or have a party. Now this game has a ton of content in it, far more than I could possibly cover in one video. We're mainly going to be looking at the story mode, but I at least want to mention the other modes first. There's the Ultimate Choice, or as I like to call it, the Spice Gauntlet, because it's spicy! You get to pick your character and 3 allies for this. Marks, 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 and marks. Perfect, let's go. This mode is a boss rush, where the spice determines the difficulty. Pretty simple. Next mode is called guest star question mark question mark question mark question mark star allies go. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This is a speedrun mode, where you pick a character and play through a simplified version of the entire game with an emphasis on speed. There are a couple of other changes, but it's not nearly as deep as the name would imply. Next is Heroes in Another Dimension, which is strange. Anyway, let's get back to the main mode, the pièce de résistance, the story mode. Big surprise, the actual story is pretty basic. This time, the Force is being released by a cult, and no, that's not a joke. I mean, they never call it a cult in the game, but look at this guy, look at his creepy robes, it's clearly a cult! Taking the form of a crystal heart, a small piece of the evil lands on Dreamland, and Kirby gives chase to it. We'll get back to the story in a second. So the goal, as usual, is to go through a bunch of levels, fight a bunch of enemies, and beat a bunch of bosses. We get a hyper-realistic Wispy Woods with hyper-realistic tears. Good thing we don't have a hyper-realistic bully to make things worse and revel in his depression. Oh wait, we do! It's Kirby! After every boss, the Crystal Heart kinda floats away. Maybe if Kirby would stop dancing after every single battle, he could catch up with it. There's a lot of shenanigans, a lot of detours, a lot of weird things going on, but eventually, Kirby gets to the final boss. Meet the Destroyer of Worlds, Void Termina. Told you this would get Lovecraftian. Actually, I'm pretty sure that this is a Majora's Mask reference, what with the mask and the eyeballs. Once you weaken the Elder God, its head falls off and sucks Kirby inside. Within, we get to see the evil's true form, and it looks just like Kirby. Before you can even begin to question what this means, the philosophical implications that this offers, that this game may in fact be saying that Kirby himself is the Destroyer of Worlds, you have to fight. Once you beat it, the thing explodes, and then it flies out of the monster, and then Kirby shoots at it with all the power he can muster, and then we finally get to see what Kirby has done with all of the souls that he's stolen over the entire franchise. And that's it. The day has been won. Kirby has defeated his greatest foe yet. His friends find him in deep space and bring him back home. Perfect. The perfect ending to the perfect Kirby game. 10 out of 10, flat out. Thank you very much for sticking with me through this. Hope I could make you smile.